All right, hey there, guys. Welcome to June's project update. Want to start by apologizing to everyone out there for switching the times. I know we originally had it scheduled for 11 a.m. and I moved it to 1 p.m. Completely apologize. I know probably a lot of you guys out there are out and about enjoying your weekend. So hopefully, if there's some of you guys online, we'll go to the Q&A. If not, go ahead and once I post this video, you guys can see it and ask your questions after I post the video, and I'll either answer them right there or we'll save it for the next for the next for the next live session. So, without further ado, again, I want to welcome you guys to this month's update. Just want to go over the agenda that we'll be discussing today. So we're going to be talking about the animation clip that we posted at the beginning of the month, the character bio that we posted last week, talk a little bit about the 2020 calendar that we have going on, and then obviously, of course, we'll also give you our project update, and then we'll do our Q&A after that. So if you guys can, for those of you who are logging in, go ahead and save your questions until we get to our Q&A session. That way I can go ahead and answer all of your questions. And I also have a challenge for you guys at the end of this video. I want to see if you guys can go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about the animation clip. So we posted animation clip, I think it's number 12. It's the scene where we're introducing you guys, the audience, to the Destructicons. I'll try and go ahead and link that video after I post this video. You can go ahead and see we've got Galvatron, right? Opening scene is Galvatron, and he's watching the Combaticon ship fly away. So it's our introduction. We get to see Galvatron, we get to see Slipstream, we get to see Cyclonus and Scourge for the very first time in this movie. So you guys got to actually see the intro of the the Destructicons. I don't know if I said Combaticons before. I'm sorry, Destructicons. It's not a very long scene, not a whole lot of action. Again, it's just the intro. We get to hear how they don't really have their memory intact. They only see images or flashes of something, someone's face, and then Galvatron kind of goes into explaining what's happening, what's going on. And just to give you a little bit more background on that scene actually extends, and we actually get to hear who each of these people are, right? We get to see why Galvatron knows so much, because these guys don't know anything. They don't even know their names, right? Cyclonus, Slipstream, they don't know anything. Galvatron is the one that has all of the information with him, and we do explain why he's the one that has that information, and he shares that along with the team. He's the leader, so naturally he would have that information, and he trickles it down. You'll get to see that throughout the rest of the scene, but we only gave you a tidbit of that section, just like we do with every other clip. So we hope that you guys enjoyed it. We hope that you guys enjoy the voice acting, right? Our talent, is very fortunate. We are very fortunate to have them. Everybody, again, is still doing this on their own, on their own free time, right? As we all are, right? We're all doing this. Last night I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning working away on stuff for the project. So usually a lot of us stay up late. We spend a lot of hours whenever we can. For me, once my boys are asleep. So our voice talent is no different. I coordinate the times with them. We set up a meeting. I email them the lines, and either we do a Skype session. In some cases, we've done a phone call where I'm kind of directing them on how I want them to sound, what emotion I want them to convey. Sometimes the voice actors, just to give you guys a little bit of information, sometimes the voice actors, they'll read the line, they'll go, you know what? I just can't see my character saying something like that. Can we tweak this? Can we add this word here? Can I change around the sentence? Can we do this at the beginning of the sentence? And if it makes sense, I go, yeah, let's do it, and we'll try it. And I'll be honest with you, I would say 9 times out of 10, I've said, you know what? I like that much better. So our voice actors, just as well as our artists, have input to this project and taking it to the next level, right? The beautiful thing, I think, is that I'm not a dictator. I don't say, hey, this is my deal, this is my project. You guys just gotta follow. No, I'm so open to suggestions. I'm so, if it makes sense and if I like it and so on and so forth, I'm so willing to compromise and make changes to make this project better for you guys, the audience, right? That's the ultimate goal. So again, hope you guys enjoyed that clip. We'll have another one hopefully next month. I know I can probably post 2 more clips right now, but I don't want to give you too much too fast. I kind of want to spread it out. But yeah, we'll have another one hopefully for you next month. All right, let's go on and move on to the character bio. So, like I mentioned, we were going to start doing character bios going forward. Our first one was Ultra Magnus. I picked him on purpose because he's now the leader of the Autobots. So I wanted to start off with him. As you can see, the character bio was pretty cool when it first came out. Kind of touched, we read through it and we dug a little bit deeper into Ultra Magnus's character, his role within the movie, and some of the things that you might expect to see from him in this particular fulfillment of the film. Our next character bio will be next month. Haven't decided who yet, but I'm kind of thinking of Onslaught. So actually, when we get to our Q&A session, if you guys can tell me which characters you guys would like to see, maybe I'll do like whoever gets the most votes, I'll do them next. So we'll save that for the Q&A session. Next thing I want to touch on, the 2020 calendar. We've got our cover for it. It's going to be pretty much the same thing as the 2017 calendar that we did. The only difference is it'll have 2020. We can't put a transformer in the front of it, right? Because it'll make it seem like we're selling it, which we're not. What we're doing is the calendar is based on our artwork that we did of this particular project. And again, it's not selling it. We are giving it to you as a thank you for your contribution and support towards our GoFundMe campaign. Again, our GoFundMe is still going on. You can get a cool hat. I know it's summer, but I mean, it's something that maybe for winter time, or if you live in Canada, right? I think the weather's pretty much cold all the time over there, or a good portion of the year. So it's a really cool hat. It's fun to have. Like I said, I've thought about doing maybe like a regular baseball cap or something like that if I've got enough interest. So if you are interested, please send me an email. I'll make an order for it, and we'll get you something that's more fitted towards the season, the hot season that we're in. Oh my gosh, I'm in Florida and we're melting here. It was like over 100 degrees the other day. I think it was like Thursday or something like that. So I pretty much tried to stay inside. So yeah, so we've got the calendar. I'll make a video of it next month. And what I'll do is I'll go through the 2017 just so that you guys can get a feel for people who weren't able to get it. It's high quality. It's not flimsy. We've got it printed on some really good, solid quality paper. It's actually, it's glossy. So it's just really good quality. I was actually pretty impressed with it myself. I have it up. I had it up. I moved. I haven't put it up since I moved. But I'll show it to you in the next video. And again, it's 2020 and it's all new artwork, stuff that you guys have not seen, stuff that we have not posted, for good reasons, obviously. But we'll dig into that in the next video, specifically for the 2020 calendar. So let's get into the project update. All right. So project update. So last month I started scene 3, which I already shared a clip of it with you. We're still working on that. I'm still working on that. I took a slight pause from it. If you guys can remember, I've shared with you guys that there are times where I kind of get, I don't want to say burnt out or maybe bored, right? Animating. I'm like, I took a slight pause this past week to do some character design. So I've actually been working on some designs, concept designs for future characters of the future installment. Here's the challenge that I have for you guys. I was thinking about actually not showing them until obviously we get there, but I'll propose a challenge. If I get, let's say, 3,000 likes on our video, I'll go ahead and share those characters with you. I've actually done 2 of them so far, and I started a 3rd one. just this morning. So it's three new characters for a future installment, one of the sequels that we'll eventually work on. So I would like to share that with you. If we get to 3,000 likes, boom, I'll share it. All right. So that's the challenge for you guys. Back to the project update. All right. So I did those characters. Scene 17 has already been started. I got confirmation from our animator Neil, who also does the voice of Bulkhead and Ratchet. He actually is a partner of mine from school, so he's animating with us, and he sent me a message the other day that he's already got it started. So hopefully that'll be completed. It's not that long of a scene. Hopefully it can be completed rather quickly. I am going to, once I'm done with this particular character that I already started, I'm gonna go ahead and go back into it and see if I can finish up scene 3 this week, or this month. Excuse me, this month of July. Let's see. As far as our other animator, Vicky, I know that she was finishing up season. I keep seeing season. I don't know why I keep saying season. She was finishing up scene 1. I'm pretty sure she's got that completed. I asked her to help me out on scene 14. So I actually don't have an update for you guys on scene 14, but I'll mention it in one of the videos that I'll post next month. If not, we'll hit it up in the July update. What else do I have for you guys? That's pretty much it as far as our project update. So we're moving along, right? We've got a couple of scenes, a new scene that we got started, finishing up on another scene, continue on with another scene, and we've got 3 character designs for our sequel. They're really cool designs. I mean, man, I would love to share it with you guys. So in order for us to get there, share the video, tell your friends about it, hit like, hit subscribe, right? I think we've got like 4,000, almost 5,000 subscribers. So obviously if we can get more, that's just more. We want the project to be recognized. We want the project to go out there. We want to share it with as many people as possible, especially amongst the Transformers community, right? Because that's what this is geared towards, people who like and love Transformers the way that we do, and more so specifically towards Transformers Prime. So that's what I have for you guys. That's the update. We can go ahead and go into our Q&A session. So I'm going to go ahead and start from this point forward on our questions. So shoot whatever you guys got. Let's see. What's a good way to introduce new characters to backstory? Well, that's a great question. And that's coming to us from Phantom Killer. Phantom Killer. So we actually have a story arc in our trilogy. One story connects to the other, connects to the other. So be it that we have that connection, the way that we're going to introduce these characters are going to revolve around that story arc. Now, I can't give you what that story arc is because I don't want to spoil it for you. But believe me, we're not going to do just throw in random characters with no explanation of where they come from. Transformers Prime did not do that. We got an explanation of where Dreadwing came from. We got an explanation of Skyquake, Arachnid, Smokescreen. We got Wheeljack. We always got some form of explanation. We didn't have to go into origins, right? We don't really need that with Transformers, but we got an explanation and some background as to who they were and where they come from. We're gonna continue with that exact same theme. All right, cool. Let's see what else we got here. What do you think of the Transformers Cyberverse? We talked about it on I think our stream 2 months ago. I like the fact that they have all these different characters in it. Again, I still don't know if I was watching a full-blown episode or if I was watching just clips of it. Every clip that I saw was roughly about 10 minutes long. I don't know. But based on what I saw, the story was lacking for me. It might pick up now in season 2. I see that in the trailer they have like a Cheetor type of character, and he looks like he's like some type of protector of something here on Earth. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Who's your favorite member of the Dinobots? That's easy. That's Grimlock. Man, I've always been a big fan of Grimlock ever since the 1980s. And let me tell you what I have in store for him for the sequel. Me personally, I can't wait to finish this current project so I can immediately get started on the next one and start, working on this one, because the complexity behind this character, and what's going to happen, and his involvement, his past, how he comes into play in the current present time, and what he means for the future is just going to be, in my opinion, very, very interesting for you guys. I think you guys are gonna love the direction that we're taking him, and the conflict that's going on, and how he plays into the story in itself. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it. So there you go. Hey, Omegas, how are you? Hope everything's good. Playing Fall of Cybertron while watching this. That's awesome. My favorite game, The Fall of Cybertron. I made my own, my own character of a War Within. Was it War Within? Yeah, War Within swoop. So I did one of the jets, and I gave him some swoop colors and called it War Within swoop. So pretty cool. I really like that game. It's my favorite. What do I think? What do I think was the weakest link of Transformers RID? Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Their character designs, I like their character designs. They were, in my opinion, the animation was like a mix of Transformers Prime as far as character design goes, and mixing it in with the Rescue Bots a little bit. And I think that's where it kind of lost me. Was it was, and I get it, it was targeted to a younger audience, right? I really don't think it needed to be. I've said this before. Transformers Prime. I mean, my youngest kids right now are 10. The twins are 10, and they watched Transformers Prime with me when it first came out, and they were able to watch it. They loved it. They understood it. So I mean, when did it end? 2013. We're in 2019, right? That was 6 years ago. So they were 4 when it ended, and they were able to keep up. They loved it. I mean, we would rush home on Friday nights to watch the new episode, order some pizza, and hang out in front of the TV, right? So I just don't think it needs to be dumbed down, to the point where you it's like unsophisticated. It's too kiddie, and I think that's where RID lost it for me. It was too kiddie. Now you're introducing, all these little mini cons and stuff like that, and then the Decepticons look like animals and insects, and it just deviated from me. Now, one of the things that I did like some of the new characters. I did like the fact that we had a new villain like Megatronus versus always going up against Megatron. So those are some pretty good things that RID did. The animation itself wasn't too bad. I think, in many ways it was. I think it was okay. It was okay. Nothing that made me jump out of my seat, right? But not like Prime. I'm sorry, but Prime is like the gold standard. I mean, as I look more and more into Prime, I even like it more than Beast Wars, just because the animation is flawless, right? The technology advanced, right? So we were able to do that, right? And probably had a bigger budget as well. So the look, the feel, for me, visually, eye candy, Transformers Prime. Let's see. First time being here, Omegas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Will there be a fight scene between Autobots? So, random things. Are you asking that for the sequel, or the current film that we're on right now? I'd have to know that to answer that question accurately. Will Hot Rod and Smokescreen fight Decepticons together? Yes. They are going to have some very interesting interactions, due to the fact that they were both in the Elite Guard, right? So when they meet up, they're like, "Hey, bro, what's going on? What's up, dude? Man, where you been? How you been doing? Type of thing, right?" And they kind of, we get to see where Smokescreen gets his immature behavior when he first comes into the Autobot team, right? Which is what annoys RC so much. She's like, "Look, kid, we don't need you to be doing X, Y, Z. We need you to be a team member, right? Stop thinking it's all about you. Stop trying to show off, and et cetera, et cetera." We're going to see a very, very similar thing from Rodimus, and we're going to see a very, very similar outcome. What's interesting, like I've said in previous films, is that because of Smokescreen's growth, he's gonna be the one to tell Rodimus, like, "Dude, you got to grow up a little bit, right?" It doesn't say it in those exact words, but you'll get the gist of it when we play out the scenes. Let's see. Do you see the characters look in Transformers Rescue Bots Academy. Do I see the look in Transformers Rescue Bots Academy? So I don't know if I'm understanding that question. Am I seeing like a similarity? Again, I think it's a blending. If we're talking about RID, I see them taking aspects of Transformers Prime and aspects of the Rescue Bots and kind of blending and mixing. I'm sorry. I still like Prime. Like I said in a previous video, the character design scared me a little bit because it was like blending G1 with Movieverse, and you guys already know how I feel about Boost. I was scared at the beginning, but then when I looked at it, I said, you know what, this actually works because they shouldn't look like they're from another planet. They shouldn't look like they were made here on Earth. They should look like they're from another. They should look slightly alien, not to the point where they're unrecognizable, like in the Bayverse. I think some of them with just so unrecognizable. But I think that a happy medium, and that's what I liked about, or that's what I loved about Transformers Prime. They found that happy medium. The designer, I can't remember his name, who designed the characters for Transformers Prime. I think he's super talented, and I really enjoyed getting the book that I have. I should actually bring it out next time. I have it there. Let's see. Grimlock versus Predaking. You'll have to wait for that sequel to see if that happens or not. I always like Grimlock's voice from actor G1. I did too. Will robots in disguise Blur appear in any of your movies? I don't know if robots in disguise Blur will. I'm not even sure if Blur will. I know that I have him as one of the potentials. I have a long list of potentials, of people that I would like to incorporate, or people of characters that I would like to incorporate. Um, I haven't made a decision on who's definitely in and who's not holistically. I have my set that I know for a fact that are going to be there, and then I have my possibilities still. He's still under the possibility section. Just finished Grimlock chapter. Cool. What's up? The Seeker Skywark. What's up? Who will win as a king, Volcanus or Predaking? I think so. Volcanus is the merged version of the Dinobots. I think that's from the action figures. I know I got it from my kids there. Haven't been able to put that darn thing together yet. I think I gave it to my middle son for him to figure it out. And usually I'm pretty good with that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm getting old. Love Transformers Prime. Wished it got a sequel. Yep. Tailgate IDW. I agree with you. And that's exactly why we're here. We felt that it deserved to keep going. There's so much potential that it had. I don't know the ratings. Like I'm not behind the corporate office to find out, hey, the ratings were good or not. Maybe the corporate office decided, hey, let's go out on a high note. Because sometimes that happens, right? You press these series for too many seasons, and it starts to dwindle down. And at the end of it, you're like, oh crap, it's done. Maybe they decided to go out on a high note. I don't know. I personally feel like there was still so much potential there. We just got into the Beast Hunters phase. We just started working with, or seeing Predaking and the clones, and I just felt like there was still potential there to keep going. That's where we're coming, and that's why we're doing this. We want to keep it going, and not only do we want to keep it going, we want it to look good, right? So that's why we've got our GoFundMe page. If you are able to contribute, please, it just helps us get the equipment that we need so that we can render it out. If you guys look at animation clip number 11, which is a space chase scene, that's how we want this film to look like from beginning to end. But we need your help for it. So let's see. Do you think Hasbro might do a Transformers Prime reboot in the future? I don't know. I would love to. When we've got a solid clip that we can render, I mean, with voice acting, the sound quality, I got in contact with the audio team. This month coming up in July, they're ready to plug back in. It's been confirmed already. They've got their issues straightened out as far as their equipment. They're back on track. Once we get a solid, good animation clip with some good voice acting, as far as the audio goes, right? Facial expression, acting, et cetera, we're going to pitch it to them again. We're going to pitch it to them and say, hey, we would like for this project to be a straight to DVD type of thing. We'll see if they buy it. We'll see if they buy it. If they do, then obviously the terms of everything start to change, the legalities behind it, et cetera, et cetera. For everybody that helped us donate, for everybody that donated to help us get there, if the finances work out, I would refund them their donation, because at that point we would have, some type of a contract deal where we would have the monetary means to get what we need to. So at that juncture, I'd personally reach out to everybody that donated and say, thank you so much. Here you go back, because we got what we needed, right? But, again, we'll see what happens in the future. Larry, hello. Let's see. Razor Flame, without revealing too much, did Starscream survive the end of Predacons Rising in your continuity? So he's one of those maybe characters that I was talking about, just like with Blur. Um, it it would have to make sense how I fit him in, but I think he does, especially since he was in RID, and even though I know I'm not following that line. Um, I think he does. I don't know, haven't decided yet again if he will make it into it or not. Um, right now, right now he's on the maybe side, but more so on the maybe not versus maybe yes. I don't know if that makes sense. So, are you going to mention what happens to the Predacons? Yes, in the sequel. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We will touch on that. We are also going to touch on what happens to Black Arachnia. I'm sorry, Arachnid. I always get those two characters confused. Gosh, my my mind is always Beast Wars. It's like when I first saw her, I was like, oh, that's Black Arachnia, and they're like, no, that's Arachnid. I'm like, well, why not just do Black Arachnia? Anyhow, I'm sorry. We talk about Arachnid, and she's actually in it. We showcased her character model a couple of months back, I think 2 months ago, during April Fools, as a matter of fact. So she is going to be back in the sequel, and we will touch on where she's at, what happens, how's she doing, etc. Let's see, who are the voice actors. There's a bunch of voice actors. Gosh, I think we've got like over 10. I don't have the list off the top of my head. The only person I can tell you is Orbital Bacon, because he's doing so many characters. I have a guy named Max who's doing Rodimus and Smokescreen. Um, let's see here. Jemima is doing Slipstream. I've got a guy named Daniel doing Knockout. That's really all I can remember right now. I've got a project tracker on my laptop, and I have everybody's name and all that stuff down. But those are just some of the voice actors that are doing characters. Orbital Bacon is doing like a bunch of characters. I think he's doing like 6 or 8 of them. I don't know, something around that. Let's see. Do you work for Night? I don't. Nope, I don't work for Night. I don't even know what Night is. Let's see. I always felt like RD, Grimlock, and Sideswipe were new Cybertronians that took names of Sideswipe. But yeah, they do that. I mean, you look at a multitude of continuities. I think I've talked about how much I dislike Ironhide from the Energon series. They just took a character and put Ironhide on him. Didn't even fit the character, the original character of Ironhide, right? The personality, So yeah, they definitely did that. I'm starting my Transformers movie soon called Transformers 7 The Rise of Unicron. What's a good camera I should use to do stop motion? I don't know. I don't do stop motion. I wish I could tell you that. I don't know. Everything that I do is on my computer. Just, Google, do some research, top best camera. Do that. Google it and say best cameras for stop motion and see what comes up, and pick and choose. Which characters do you hope to see in Transformers Siege? It's a Netflix series coming out next year. Yes, I know. I don't know much about what the show's going to be about. Like, okay, Transformers Siege. It could be based on, what happens, the war during Cybertron or whatnot. I don't know. You guys already know my favorite. One of my favorite characters is Springer, so I would like to see a Springer character, triple changer by that. By you know, at that it has to be a triple changer because I mean that's what Springer is. So that's a character I would really like to see. Um, take as much time as you need for your project. Good luck. Thanks, Tailgate. Will Grimlock say meet Grimlock? So I have not decided yet what type of personality Grimlock is going to have as far as his level of intelligence and speech goes, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Cyberverse, he seems like an intellectual when he's in robot mode, more beastly and savage when he's in his animal or T-Rex mode. I have not decided. I know from the IDW comics that I used to read, he used to be a general, and in Cybertron, and I am taking inspiration as far as that goes. Grimlock was a general in the days of the old Cybertronian, right? Um, I'll give you guys a little bit of background where my version of Grimlock goes. So get ready for some good news, some new news. He is a general prior to Prime becoming Prime. Prime becomes the Prime. He doesn't agree with it because Prime had Orion Pax has absolutely no war experience whatsoever. He doesn't have the strategic knowledge. He doesn't have the fortitude that's been built in the heat of battle. Right? Imagine that. Imagine that you are in a war, and all of a sudden they don't they pick a civilian to lead this battalion, this platoon or whatever, into war. I I would be freaked out. Wait a minute. Why does that guy get to lead us? He doesn't. He know how to shoot a gun? So I just want to give you a comparison, right? So that's Grimlock's view. Is like, wait a minute. I've been a general for as far back as I can remember. I've seen battle. I've held my comrades in my arms. They've died. Their energons pouring out of them, right, in my arms. And then I've got a librarian basically now being the leader of our entire group. Think about that. Think about how you guys would feel in that type of a scenario. And that's where Grimlock's going to be coming from. Enjoy that. Enjoy that little nugget. Have you ever taken a look at IDW More Than Meets the Eye comic series? It was written by James Robert and is my second favorite Transformers. Continuing after try. Yes, I actually have both the IDW and more the More Than Meets the Eye. So when IDW started coming out with their comics, I collected them all. I actually have them. My comic book box is actually in my closet. And it was a good series. It really was. It reinvigorated comics for me from a Transformer aspect. My favorite Transformer artist is Don Figueroa. I felt like his designs were impeccable. I loved his Transformer designs. Who were your favorite characters in Prime? Mine were Starscream, Bulkhead, and really like this version of Megatron. Yes, I really did like this version of Megatron as well. He fit. He really fit. Frank Welker really took his original voice and modified it to give us something a little bit more terrifying. And so kudos to him and his voice acting abilities. He was able to change his voice ever so slightly and just give this extra element to Megatron that was not in the original 86 version. So he was really a good character. I've mentioned before my favorite characters. My favorite is always going to be Optimus Prime, just because I admire him as a leader so much. He's been a leader and I've expressed this before in ways that I think the Optimus Prime of the Bayverse movies is not. And I shared this when I first started going live stream, was that Optimus Prime would never ever leave one of his Autobots behind, especially not being 30 feet away from him, maybe. And there's again the scene where Optimus is running in the first movie. He's running with Michaela and Sam. They're hiding under a bridge. Michaela and Sam happen to fall off, which I don't even understand that part. And they drop the one thing that they're supposed to guard the most, which is the glass. Whatever. The scene doesn't work for me. So here comes Bumblebee, comes riding in. Really cool scene because he comes riding in, right? As far as that part where, but then he transforms, he slides, he catches them, and he slides off. He can't be sliding that far away. And then helicopters surround them, and they capture him. Where's Optimus? He can't be but a couple of feet away. And it's not like he's got to hide so the humans don't see him because the humans are already chasing him. That whole scene doesn't work for me. It's just stupid. And so when they capture him, Jazz is more of the leader here. He says, we can't let these guys take Bumblebee. He's like, oh, Bumblebee knew the risk. So he's going to die. It's like, we can't leave him to be experimented out. No, Bumblebee knew the risk. He knew it. Can't do anything for him. No, that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. That is not Optimus Prime. All right, let's go. What's your favorite Bayverse Megatron? Mine's the last night. It looked like the Kaon Gladiator Megatron. Oh boy, that's such a good question. I don't even know how to answer that one because I'm just like not a big fan of. I'm about this much of a fan of anything that I like about. Okay, so I'll tell you the good things that I do like. I do like the action sequences, even though a lot of them still don't make sense, but they were entertaining. I like the fact that Bumblebee went from a Volkswagen Beetle to a Camaro, gave him a muscle car type. Obviously, made him one of the most popular characters from the Transformer series of the Bayverse. But as far as Megatron goes, I don't really know, man. I can't even answer that question. Are you talking about his personality or his look? Because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't crazy of the fact that we got Galvatron in the fourth one, and then we're back to Megatron once again in the fifth one. Furthermore, what was Megatron's purpose in the fifth one? I mean, Quintessa tells Megatron to stop Optimus Prime, but wasn't Optimus Prime working for Quintessa? I mean, shouldn't that I just watched Transformers 5 like a couple of months ago again. I forced myself to watch it a second time, and I still can't understand what the purpose of everything was. And I understand it even less when I look at all five movies. It's like each movie was a Saturday morning cartoon back from the 80s. The Saturday morning cartoons did not connect to one another. It was a brand new show, it was a brand new episode with a brand new plan that Megatron schemed up, right? I just didn't get it. I don't get it. Anyhow, I can go on and on with those Bayverses. Are you going to make a movie on the Elite Guard, Transformers to show Smokescreen's origin? No, we are going to mention the Elite Guard because that's where Smokescreen met Rodimus, but we're not going to delve into the whole Elite Guard thing. We're just going to mention it again because they met there, so they worked there. Were cadets at the Elite Guard, so when they meet each other, like, yeah, where you been? I haven't seen you, etc. Do the Autobots on Earth reunite with the Autobots on Cybertron? Yes, of course. So we'll post a clip where I do want to post this clip once Fowler gets skinned, where Fowler actually meets the Autobots that crash land. And obviously because they crash land, he's like, wait a minute. I don't remember you two being here on Team Prime, so who are you guys? And so Springer kind of explains who this happens off screen. And so what Fowler does is he touches base with Ultra Magnus. He's like, hey, I got two of your buddies down here. What are they doing here? Type of thing. So yes, they do. Will you make a Wreckers movie to show Springer's origin? No, we do mention that as well. We mentioned the fact that Springer was a Wreckers lieutenant, and we're pulling that from the comic, right? Springer was the leader of the Wreckers. So we're going to go ahead and get inspiration from there, and Springer is a lieutenant of the Wreckers. So what do you have? You've got Ultra Magnus, the leader of the Wreckers, Springer, the lieutenant of the Wreckers. You have Wheeljack, a Wrecker, and you have Bulkhead, a Wrecker. So there's 4 members there. We don't know how many there are in total, but we've got at least 4 there. And we do touch on the history of the Wreckers. So I think that we've mentioned this in one of the previous videos or the clips, or maybe in one of the tech specs. I can't remember. The Combaticons were specifically chosen by Megatron. So Megatron literally put these guys together in response to the Wreckers. So they were a faction, or they were a group of Decepticons. They were specifically put together to specifically handle the Wreckers. So there's going to be some history there, and it's going to play out really, really nice. Do you think that Unicron and Primes have a sister? Unicron and Primes have a sister. I think one of the 13 Primes was a female. I actually started watching a little bit of history for the 13 Primes. I think one of them was a female, and I think there was like a love triangle that happened, and one of them betrayed the other one for that. I don't really quite remember, but yeah, I think one of the Primes is a female, and she would be a sister. And do they have a sister? Her name is Gaia. She is the Shattered Glass Comics. Okay, there you go. In my continuity, she's still around. Okay, great. What did I think of the Bumblebee movie? All right, we've touched on this before as well. I thought it was entertaining. Was it something that blew me out of my seats? No, by no means. I think overall I gave it kind of like a B. I thought the opening scene was fantastic. However, even within that, I still have my critiques on it. I just said a little while ago that characters from another planet should look more alien. They shouldn't look so earthbound, if you will. And I felt like all of the characters, the characters that we saw, like there were some, I shouldn't say all. Optimus Prime, Shockwave, and Soundwave were so boxy. They literally look like they were just a modern version of the old 80s cartoon, and it really shouldn't have been that way. It should have been more sleek, more aerodynamic, more alien looking. I thought Bumblebee Cybertronian mode was perfect. I thought that was really good. I haven't delved into the character designs of the others, like I think Ironhide was there, Brawl was there, RC was there. I think Wheeljack was also there. I know Ratchet was. So I think those characters, again, I'd have to look at them a lot closer. I don't want an 80s movie, like an 80s Transformer movie. I don't. We live in a modern technology where everything's sleeker, everything is much more aerodynamic. These are aliens, futuristic aliens that really should look it. So I felt like the character designs for that. I mean, Optimus Prime looked like a semi truck from here on Earth, and he's in Cybertron. I wasn't feeling that. But going back to the Bumblebee movie, again, entertaining. Nothing that blew me out of my seats. No, it didn't have the high intensity of action that the Bayverse movies had. So I'll give that to Bayverse, right? That's a point for them. The action was mild in the Bumblebee movie. But again, it's the first movie. It was not a bad film. My biggest issues with the film were, was it a sequel? Was it a prequel, right? Initially, they came on and they said that it was a prequel, which, based on certain things that happened within the movie, made sense. But then there were certain things within the movie that contradicted that. Then they come out and they say, no, it wasn't a prequel. It's we're rebooting the franchise. Well, I mean, you're rebooting it, but taking aspects from the original Bayverse. I mean, there you go. That's my answer. RD kind of looks like a video game from the PS3 era, maybe even PS2 era. Do you plan on Soundwave Escape from the Shadow Zone? That's the Seeker asking that. So I have contemplated that as well. I have thought up how he could. He's on that maybes list as well. I haven't written out all the story or all the scenes for the sequels. I'm still in the process of writing out the second one. I've got a lot of it done, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. So he's on that maybes list. Haven't really quite decided that yet. Let's see here. So hopefully, without this maybe being in the storyboard, will Prime's line continue? Oh, so the lineage of Prime. It's a possibility. I don't want to spoil yes or no's to that, because Again, I don't know what's going to happen in the sequels. I have my story arc, so I know where my story arc is going. But the little details in between that, hard to say at this juncture. It's a possibility. Let's see. Have I ever thought of using more aligned characters such as Perceptor, Warpath, Scattershot, or Demolisher? Yes, yes, I have. You'll get to see some of that. It's funny that you mentioned some of those characters. Um, I think it was at the beginning or the middle of this stream. I said that I've designed three characters, uh, or we have three characters. Let me rephrase that. We have three characters that we've designed, or that we have designs for sequels. Now, I've already posted four models for the next film, right? We posted Arachnid and three Dinobots, right? So we have, and those were modeled out. So we have some character designs that we could show you guys, but I already put a challenge out there. I want to get to a certain amount of likes on this video so that I can go ahead and post that on our webpage. If we can get there, I'll share with you and it'll answer your question. Transformers Devastation looks better than RID in my personal opinion. I actually like that game. My only thing with that game was not enough characters. I think we only have 4 or 5 characters. I would have liked to have seen more characters, and the DLC pack that they got was just basically a repaint of the 4 characters that we had. I think one of them was Red Alert, the other one was Bumblebee as Goldbug, and I think Prime was Nemesis Prime. I don't really quite remember, but I would have liked to have seen more characters realistically. That was a cool game. I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to that. How about do the same things in war? Yeah, exactly, Larry. I think you were talking about my comparison as far as like a civilian with a being put in charge of a battalion or a squadron or whatever, right? Transformers Devastation is a really fun game. It really is. I know some people have posted like YouTube videos of the clips of the cinematic clips, which is I've watched a couple of them. It's pretty cool. It's like watching the '80s cartoon in 3D. I like it. G1 Grimlock is the best. Yes, I agree. Already love Grimlock. Thanks, Jackie Prime. Will the humans be involved in your movies? Yes, at some point. I would like to. I would like to bring Jack, Miko, and Raph back into the mix, but a little bit older because time has passed on. I don't know where. Actually, I do know where. I just don't want to share it. Let me be honest. I do know where. I just don't want to share it. But we will see them return. Yes, absolutely. Does the Autobots know Smokescreen almost became a prime? I don't. You know what? That whole part to me was confusing to me too because I don't quite. Maybe you guys can help me understand that. I don't quite understand. Like if they would have made him a prime, I would have understood that. Maybe it was a psych out where they were trying to get the audience to think he was going to become a prime and then he didn't. If that's the case, then it is what it is. And he kind of said it. Oh man, and they almost made me a prime. I think he says that in the Predacons Rising film. So I think that's where that dies, and we really don't touch on it. Are Rumble and Frenzy going to be in your show? No plans for them. I have. They've popped in here and there, but no real plans for them. The movies were so confusing. Yes, the Bayverse movies were just so confusing. I'll give you a good point. So in the second film, the pyramid had an energon harvester, right, which would take the energy from the sun, harvest it for these individuals. For I don't know. I don't know because if the one of the 13 primes was trying to do that, then they all should be doing that for their energy. I don't really know. I don't get it. But anyhow, if you take the power from the sun, I think the sun goes either supernova or becomes a black hole or a dwarf. I don't know. I'm not a physicist, but something would happen to the sun, and then if something happens to the sun, keep in mind that we are held the way we are because of the sun's gravity. So if that sun were to disappear, this entire planet would be destroyed. The entire solar system would be destroyed with everything that's on it, including those Transformers, because they don't have a ground bridge in the second film. Science fiction still needs to make sense, guys. All right. The Seeker Skywarp. Smokescreen told them, I believe, and Bumblebee was shocked. Yep, he did. Did you base the Destructicon or the Destructicon insignia off of the Transtech Decepticon insignia? Has a lot of similarities design-wise. I'll be honest with you. I don't even know where I got that from. I just put Transformers insignias or Transformer symbols. I saw that one and I said, "Oh, that's very different from the Decepticon, but it still has some aspects of it." And I just used that and I just changed the faction. So it could be. Bumble Bricks, hello, what's up, pal? Let's see. His purpose was basically finding the talisman staff should Nemesis fail and clean up his mess. There you go. Does Ratchet remain on Earth with the children? No, Ratchet is actually on Cybertron. Due to the events that happened in Predacons Rising, he now switches gears and he winds up staying on Cybertron with the others. I think in our first animation clip, we see him interacting with Knockout and Ultra Magnus in the same room. Do you plan on including Elita 1 in future projects? So we have there was this one guy who did a video and he did a design of Elita 1 in Transformers Prime style, and he actually managed to implement her in the opening credit scenes or in the opening scene, and he did it flawlessly. It was a really nice piece of animation. We reached out to him and we asked if we could use his model in our film, and he obliged, kindly obliged. He said absolutely. So we do have his model to use based on his permission. I just haven't been able to write her in. Could be that she comes out in the future installments. It could be. I don't know. This is off topic, but what I was wondering, what do I think about the ending of Beast Wars? Do you feel like it really ended? Oh man! So I was such a big fan of Beast Wars that I mean, when we got into season 3, I was really excited. I think that to me was like one of my favorite seasons. And I'm gonna fix this back here. Sorry, guys. I see the light glaring through. Um, I felt like it was so obvious the change of direction that they went in, because they bring in Tigerhawk, and then in the next episode they kill him off. They brought in Depth Charge, like just within that same season, they kill him off. So it was so obvious and so rushed that I could tell that they didn't mean to end it that way, because of studio contracts or whatever happened behind the scenes. They did, and then it goes over to Fox and they change it from Beast Wars to Beast Machines, and it just went downhill for me after that. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the design. I didn't like the animation behind it. They looked so different than the Beast Wars stuff that I really liked. I really liked how they got into the Transmetal stuff. I think the whole Transmetal thing was really my favorite aspect of Beast Wars, and so it is what it is. I did feel like it was rushed, and I don't even remember how Beast Machines ended, just because I stopped watching it after like I think when I found out that Rhinox was Tankor, I was like, forget it, I'm done. I gave up after that. But anyhow, what's your opinion on Wrecker Wheeljack? I love Wheeljack. He's so cool. He's like this badass warrior, man. I just really like Wheeljack. I like all the characters from Transformers Prime. There's not one robot character that I did not like in that series. There's not one that annoyed me. Miko annoyed me, but again, I'm talking about the actual Transformers, Autobots and Decepticons. Not one of them annoyed me. Not one of them made me, not this character again. I enjoyed them all. Let's see. Any plans for Sea Spray? Abandoned season 3 storyline. So Sea Spray was blown up in season 2. His ship was blown up. I mean, we never see him actually in it. So you could write a some type of workaround where maybe he ejects last minute, but based on the angle of the camera, we don't see that because all we see is the explosion. That could be, and I have thought about that. Again, I'd have to. He's in that possibility section. So, will Mirage appear in any of your movies? I don't have any plans for Mirage. What is your favorite Transformers movie? Are we talking about the Bayverse movies? Or because my favorite would be the 1986 one, the cartoon movie. But if we're talking about Bayverse films, I think I enjoyed. I think maybe between the first one and the third one, those were the higher ranking ones, right? I really liked the. I liked and I can't remember the actress's name, but her portrayal of Carly I really liked. I felt like Megan Fox, as much as I like Megan Fox, um, I felt like there were times where she wasn't a supporter. She almost, like, especially in the second film, she was scoring on him a little bit. She was like, "Oh, you hit puberty" or something like that. I was like, just felt like it was disrespectful. I mean, if you're joking around in a joking sense, I'm okay with that line. I mean, I don't, well, I'm not that much of a stiff that I can't take a joke. But it was a serious moment, so that line just seemed out of place for a supporting girlfriend, right? Um, and I felt like Carly was, she was his, support no matter what he went through. Even though, like, at one minute she like seems to break up with him, I think she was more so annoyed. But up until that moment, she's, I mean, she's paying for his the roof over his head. He's paying for, gives him money for food. She's being a very, very, I think a little too supportive, if you ask me, because I'm traditional, I'm old fashioned. Hey, man's got to be able to hold his own, and I get it. Student, fresh out of college, I get that aspect. But I just felt like her support system was more in line with what I would want from my significant other. So I liked her character in that film. What is your let's see. Oh, I feel like Chromio would be a good member of the Records. Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Agree Chromio with the Records. Great. Name your top 5 Transformers. So, Springer, Optimus, Grimlock, Jetfire, and Prowl. Jazz. Jazz. And here it comes. What is your opinion on Autobot Jazz? Autobot Jazz. He's such a cool. I so frustrated with what happened with him in the first film. Okay, so here, you know how I talk about how the inconsistencies drive me nuts in films. Frenzy gets his head chopped off by Michaela, and he survives. He scans a cell phone, so he goes from being a stereo to a cell phone. Okay, I'm sorry. Last time I checked, when it comes to humanoids, you cut off anything's head, they stop functioning, right? You can make an argument, oh, it's a robot. I mean, their spark should be in the middle of the chest where our hearts are, basically. But you can, oh, well, the cognitive and all. Okay, all right, fine. Well, why is it that Frenzy survives? He gets his head chopped off, and then Jazz gets half of his body chopped off or ripped apart, and he dies instantly. I don't get that. Actually, I know plenty of people that have survived with their lower extremities cut off, and they live. I don't know anybody that lives with having their head chopped off, but maybe that's just me. Again, it's got to make sense. There needs to be consistency in these films. You can't have one thing for one faction and the same thing has a different result for another faction. That's just stupid. That's really stupid. And when you look at the cube, right? The cube only made Decepticons or evil Transformers. We don't know if they're Decepticons or Autobots, but they made evil Transformers. The Nokia was evil, was trying to shoot everybody. The Mountain Dew machine was trying to shoot everybody. The Cadillac steering wheel grabbed the girl's face. Right? It just seemed like they were just making villains. But Optimus wanted the cube to repopulate Cybertron. What are you going to repopulate it with? Bad robots? Why did the cube regenerate Frenzy when he got close to it? But then Bumblebee's holding it, gets his legs blown off, and there's no regeneration there. Completely different. Even in the second film, again, every single appliance that was affected by the shard is a bad robot. I can't stand the films. I'm sorry. Will new Transformers Prime movie become when? When will the new? We don't know. We're hoping next year. Again, we've stressed so much that our project took a delay because I had to switch softwares. My software got discontinued, and my artists weren't able to use it. I foolishly, mistakenly did not get a multi-user license, which would have been an additional $500. I could have done it. I just it's my fault. My fault, 100%. You guys can blame me for how long this is taking. But we are hoping that we can have something for you for next year. Sincere apologies on why it's taking so long. I didn't anticipate my software being discontinued. It got discontinued in 2016. Would you like to see the Transformers encounter their shattered glass counterparts? That'd be interesting, but that's not in the realm that I'm taking. I'm sticking to just a regular timeline. What is your favorite Transformers Prime episode? Ooh, I really like the one with Darkmound where Ultra Magnus comes in and he invades Darkmound. I think I talked about it last month, or I think I talked about it in the character video. I really enjoyed that film, that episode so much. I don't know why, but I did. What about the Constructicons? Like to see that? Yes, construct. I like to see all the Transformers get a Prime version, but I don't think that's going to happen. Not in the direction that we're taking it. Also, what happens to the Star Saber and Dark Star Saber? Optimus gone, Megatron going to rest. So the Dark Star Saber, if I'm not mistaken, should be at the bottom of an ocean, right? We didn't really see it in Predacons Rising. The Star Saber really didn't even get use in Predacons Rising. Prime didn't get to use it. Does Prime? He doesn't leave it with anybody. We don't see that. We see Prime just flying into the heart of Primus. I guess he takes a Star Saber with him. I don't know. Will your second Dinobot movie start off from the Transformers Prime Predacons Rising comics? I've never read any of the comics. I don't know what they're about. I've seen I've seen their covers, but I've never read their comics. I'm strictly sticking to the events that take place within the Prime Universe show, not video games, not comics, not anything else. Just strictly the TV series with the Predacons Rising, in there, because to me that's part of the series, right? All right, guys, we're past the hour. We're going to start wrapping it up here. Let's see. In the sequel, will we be able to see a fully rebuilt, living, breathing Cybertron? Yes, we will. We will. We will see aspects. We'll see aspects of Cybertron here within this film as well. We don't know how much time. We personally don't mention it. How much time happens from when Optimus sacrifices himself to when our story begins? There's no indication of time. So it could be 5 years have passed. It could be 2 years have passed. It could be 3 years. We don't know. We don't touch on it. It's not relevant to the story, so there's no need to touch on it. But there's a fully functional Autobot headquarters, and there's a fully functional Autobot city that winds up getting destroyed anyhow. If I was your Grimlock and was in a high position in the Autobot army and got replaced by a librarian, I think I would be angry. So I can really blame him. So and there you go. It's just again using logic and rationale to say, wait a minute. I'm a general. I've been forged in battle. I've gone through the training. I've gone through this. I've gone through that. You're going to tell me this librarian probably never shot a gun in his life is going to now lead me and my. Hey, how many of you guys have seen the movie 300? Could you imagine the betraying senator being put in charge over Leonidas, in charge of the 300 soldiers that go? Just can't. It's foolish. It's foolish. But that's what happens within the within the Prime universe, right? We saw that in the flashbacks of when Ratchet was mentioned. Ratchet goes into the flashbacks, and obviously the Matrix of Leadership increases his power, gives him knowledge of the Primes, and that's the part I guess Grimlock might not comprehend, is that the Matrix of Leadership makes him worthy and gives him all of that knowledge and experience that within an instant that would normally take a long period of time to develop. And that's where maybe his disconnect is. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into it. I'm just thinking out loud. Is there a Bayverse design you like, or at least don't dislike as much? I think Optimus Prime and Bumblebee were the designs that I liked the most. I really did. I liked them the most, and with the exception of Bumblebee's face. I don't like Bumblebee's face. However, he looked really cool when his helmet came on. That's when I was like, oh, he's getting ready to kick butt. That design was really cool. Let's see, fan guy, you made a new channel. Okay, cool. Shoot us the link. We'll see what you're working with there. Did see Metroplex in your movie. You saw Metroplex? I don't have Metroplex in my film. We don't even mention him. Because you talk about Bayverse, I'll give you one thing, because KSI takes Megatron and made Galvatron. How then Galvatron and yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? It's the same issue that goes on with Fox and the X-Men. It's like they don't watch the previous film that they made. Here's a good example. I watched The Dark Phoenix, and I knew I was going to throw away my money. I should have just flushed it down the toilet, because I knew it was going to be a garbage film. And it was. The ratings even show that it was not a good film. The critics agree it was not a good film. Wasn't as bad as X-Men: The Last Stand, in my personal opinion. At least when I watched X-Men: Dark Phoenix, I didn't feel robbed. But here's the problem. They were trying to stick to the comics, where she gains the Phoenix power in outer space in a spaceship trying to save the space crew. That goes along with the comics. Cool. But you just had a film where she turned into the Phoenix Fire, came out, and that's how she defeated Apocalypse. So how did she get the Phoenix Force in space if she already had it in the previous film? Stuff like that is retarded. And it's things like that that take away from the overall success of any film. When you have disconnects, when you have things that don't align, when you have things that, when you don't have like Easter eggs, for example. One of the biggest misses, both in the original X-Men trilogy and the most recent one, is that you've got Mystique and Nightcrawler together, and they are biologically related. Now, I get Nightcrawler might not know who Mystique is because Mystique abandoned him when he was a child. But I mean, come on, she's got to know that's her son, or at least think it. You know what? I gave birth to a blue boy with 3 fingers, pointy ears, and a tail. Could this be my son? And there's no hint, there's no mention of it in any of the films. Big miss. Those little details, when a director misses those little details, it really does take away from the success of the film. It really does. Because then people like me that know the history will go on our social media and will be like, this movie is horrible. Horrible, don't watch it. But when you start to make those connections, you go online, oh, this movie was great. There's so many things that they really paid attention to this. They really did. There you go. The only Transformer movies I enjoyed was 1 and 3. Yep. Travis Knight knew exactly what he wanted in Transformer film because he was a Transformer fan himself. All right. Also, did you hear rumors about Hasbro doing Transformers Prime Remake? I haven't heard any rumors at all. So if they are, please link where you're getting those rumors from, and I'll touch base on that in our next video. I would really like to read up on it. This is an off-topic question, but have you seen an action show from the 90s named Gargoyles? Yes. I really liked it. And for a show, yes, I'm a huge fan of the Gargoyles from the 90s. I was actually in high school when that show was coming on, and I remember rushing home to go watch Gargoyles. The story was just really well done. I really liked how they mixed all these Shakespearean things into it, and they brought in stuff. I would really love to see a modern day film of the Gargoyles. I have a story written out. I haven't completed it, and I don't know why I'm waiting on completing it and pitching it to somebody. I'm just being foolish, but I do have I would love to work on a Gargoyles film. Did you see? Do we see Blaster in the movie? No plans for Blaster. He's not even in my possibilities list. Movie Talk News. Antonio Gutierrez. They announced all of their characters already. Huh? Interesting, fan guy. Yeah. Give me some material to follow up on. I assume certain Transformer designs are differently, especially when smaller bots. I mean, Mohawks are. Yeah. They are based on the size, but again, we need to have some consistency. If not, it's not going to make sense. You know, if you chop something's head off, you're literally severing. Even if it's a robot, you're severing connection points, right? Because even if we're talking about, let's say a CPU, right, is up here, stored up here, and you're severing whatever wires are connected that's flowing down into it. It's just like the human nervous system. All of those connection points are going to sever. Now, the CPU might still be functioning, but there's going to be certain aspects of that robot that can't function anymore, right? And if that's the case, then remember, Jazz got his body ripped in half. His CPU, if it's up here, should still be intact. I don't believe Jazz's CPU is going to be in his waist. You know, he's a lieutenant. He's a smart character. He's an awesome character. So again, things have to make sense. What we're doing. Let's see. Are we sure the cube wasn't a Decepticon? We don't. But we know that Optimus said that he wanted to repopulate his planet with it. You know. I think they just completely they didn't know what to do with the cube. You know, even in the second film, you've got a piece of the shard that apparently revives Megatron, but then you've got a sliver of it. I don't know what the difference between a shard and a sliver. I'd have to look it up in the dictionary. They're both a piece of the cube. Maybe one's smaller or bigger. I don't know. The sliver manages to wake up Jetfire, but apparently when Optimus dies, the sliver isn't good enough to bring him back to life. We got to go get the Matrix. Please, no more Bayverse. My head already hurts. What's your opinion on Jazz being small and weak in the horrible Bayverse? Yeah, you know, if you look at the car design, you know, when he was in the 80s, it was a Porsche. He really shouldn't have been as tall as he was. And one thing that Bayverse, and I do agree with him on, there shouldn't be any mass shifting. Meaning, I think there was this one episode, man, where Soundwave literally could be held in Sam's hand or Spike's hand, and he's like this two-story robot after that. Mass shifting, I'm not a big fan of. I don't like mass shifting. So, be it for the car that was chosen for him, I get why he was small. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. Maybe he should have been the Camaro and Bumblebee should have been the Solstice. We can debate that. We can talk about that. TF fan page, how am I doing? I'm doing great today, man. It's Saturday. It's a wonderful day. Actually, after this, gotta clean the house, and then I'm gonna go work out, and then I'm gonna get back onto the computer later on tonight, and I'm gonna keep animating. Are your Combaticons associated with Starscream? No, that's a great question because I know in the original series they were. No, not in this case. Could there be some future or in the past they had some interactions? Could be. We don't touch on it. We only touched on the fact that Megatron specifically put this group together. Now, it could have been it was Megatron's orders and Starscream was the one who actually carried out those orders. Could very well be. We don't address that. That's actually a good point. Maybe we will if we decide to bring him in. That's a really good point, though. DS Saber got pulled out by Starscream and RID, but obviously you're ignoring the series. Also, yeah, I don't think Prime had the Star Saber on him, but it would be fairly easy to brush aside. Absolutely correct. What's your opinion on IDW Autobot Star Saber and your opinion on him in the cartoons? Also compare them, please. Okay, so I think we're talking about the actual character, the Star Saber. I don't really know much about him. I don't know much about him. I think he's like overseas character, like a Japanese character, and then eventually I really can't give my opinion on it. I'll tell you what, I'll do some research on it, and on our next video I'll answer that one. Because I don't want to give something that I don't know anything of. Danny Williams, life is good, man. Thanks for asking. I really want to share my these prime designs that I have for these characters. I really want to share them with you because I really want to see the feedback that you guys get. So if you can, share the video, tell as many people as you can, hit the like, hit the subscribe, so that way we can keep growing our fan base. And I'll keep sharing more of this stuff with you. Let's see. At the end of Transformers Devastation, Optimus Prime got really overpowered. Yep. I'm wondering if you've ever seen it, but I did a custom build slipstream based. Yes, I did. I did see it. It was pretty cool. I actually liked it. Very creative. Very creative. I'd like to see, maybe tackle some other characters. Maybe do Springer next, since he's my favorite. If you ever have the time and the ability to do it. In the reboot of the live action Transformer, Jazz should be in it. I agree. I agree. I'm curious as to, at the end of the Bumblebee movie, you got like, I think eight. I think I counted eight. I don't know. I've only seen it twice, but I think I counted like eight whatever's coming down. I don't know if they're comets. I don't know if they're in some type of escape pod. I don't know. That was another thing I didn't like about the film. They used an escape pod. Somehow Bumblebee managed to go from Cybertron to Earth in an escape pod. I don't get it. I don't really get it, but you have plans of Alita 1. We already touched on Jackie Prime. We already touched on Alita 1 at the beginning of the film, or of the stream. Will you be incorporating more of the Predacon aspects, as perhaps bringing some Beast Wars characters in the future? That's an interesting thing. So we have some designs for our Dinobots. I think my concept artist went a little too G1 with his beast mode. So I want to kind of take it back to design, and I need to incorporate a little bit more of the beast hunters aspect into his animal form. But yeah, we are going to see more of the prime aspect, or the beast hunters aspect, in the animal looking characters. Again, I don't want to change things to the point where it's unrecognizable. I kind of want to leverage what's been done in the past and just continue on with it. Maybe that's why she rescued him in Apocalypse. I'm not sure where you're going with that one. The one thing I hate, X-Men Dark Phoenix, was the line, the woman did not... My opinion here is, I know it might turn a lot of you guys off. I think I've already expressed to you how much I love RC, so I hope nobody calls me anti-feminist or anything of that nature. I don't see women as objects, or they're equals, and that's why I like RC so much. She can hold her own. She can be vulnerable in certain aspects. She could be headstrong in other aspects, but she can absolutely hold her own. So let's set the record straight. But I need you guys to think about this. Imagine if we made a film where it's highlighted that men are stronger, or men are this, or men are that. It would turn off the female population. There's no need for us to say that. The reverse happens. There's no need for us to say that women are this. Hey, show me that you can hold your own, like you've done, and I'm good. I already respect you. I already know it. I don't need you to force into me that anything. Women are not better than men, and men are not better than women. We're equals. Stop with the nonsense. I have four boys, and I don't need anybody telling them that they're less because they're male or anything of that nature. And if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want anybody telling her she's less or more. They're all equals. Let's just leave it at that. But yes, I agree. I didn't like that comment. Just like I didn't like in the end game scene where all the women come together. And it's so forced. You're going to tell me in a scene as chaotic as that was, that all of them happen to be gathered together for that one shot? Again, scenes have to make sense. Scenes have to make sense. Have you seen any of the legendary MonsterVerse movies? Godzilla. Yes, I saw Godzilla. I saw the King of Monsters a couple of weeks. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought I think it was Rodan, his whole scene. Oh wow, that was phenomenal. I don't know why it got such bad reviews. I did enjoy it. What I didn't like was the female, the villain, the doctor. I could not understand her logic. So she wants to save the world by releasing these monsters, which are going to kill humanity. Let me rephrase that. She wants to save humanity, is what she said, by releasing these giants that are going to kill millions. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not intellectual enough, like some of these Hollywood directors or writers. Maybe I'm just dumb and I can't understand why this person would go to the lengths that she's. Now, if she hated humanity, she makes perfect sense. I'm all in. She hates humanity. She's gonna release the monsters. She wants to destroy humanity. I'm all in, like the guy that she partnered up with, the old man. But she's saying she wants to save humanity. I don't know, man. But other than that, the movie was great. I enjoyed it. The visuals, I liked it, and I'm looking forward to how when they mix the King Kong with that. Just one more question. Maybe Transformers into what? Fan guy, I'm not sure. How did I make the Transformers in the TFP style? Oh, character design. Again, I have a team of people that are working together. So we have a specific concept artist. He has done a phenomenal job at getting us our character designs for this particular movie. He is located in China, so there's a lag in communication as well as difficult, right, because of the language barrier. But as far as art goes, he's extremely talented. So he did a lot of our designs for this film. He did a couple of designs for the next film. I did one design for this film, and I'm doing a couple for the sequels already. So it's a combination between him and I. I'm a little bit diverse. I've done some storyboarding. I've done some character design. Obviously, I'm doing some animating. I'm doing some modeling. Obviously, I'm directing, voice casting, voice directing. So I've worn multiple hats. Naturally, so because it's my project, right? Um, you know, people want to jump on board and help out. That just takes a lot more off of my plate. The more hands we have helping, the faster we can go along. All right, guys, we're way over the hour, so I'm gonna take a couple more questions, and then we're gonna cut it. Also, my phone's about to die. Have you ever heard of Energon? Was the part of the balanced breakfast? Yeah, I have. I'm going to leave. Bye. It's great. All right, tailgate. Great. Thanks for joining. Jazz appear in any of your movie? He is in the consideration folder. Absolutely. Will Rodimus Prime be the leader of the Autobots? So the reason why I'm calling him Rodimus is in the event that I decide to go down that route. I haven't made that decision yet or not. But in the event, it's an easier transition to call him Rodimus Prime versus changing his name from Hot Rod to Rodimus. Cybertron can survive perfectly as long as it resumes the Trinity are still connected. Brain module, spark, and your T-Cog, right? All three components. That's a good point. In your opinion, why did Megatron start the Great War? What do you think his reasons were? Like any dictator, he's power hungry. There's not a whole lot of complexity to Megatron's ambitious desires. He's your typical average power hungry dictator, right? He wants power for himself. He wants to rule. He wants to be the top boss. He wants to be feared as well as respected, but he'll take fear over anything else. And he wants to dominate. He wants everything done his way. And we see that. We sense that in the very last line of Predacons Rising. He goes, I know what it's like to be oppressed. I now know, and I don't desire to do that to anybody, right? So, we get to see where he just wanted to rule over everybody, and at no cost. Doesn't matter the cost. He didn't care about it. So, based on his experience, he lost the luster for it. Let's see, is Rodimus going to be the leader? I just finished addressing that TFP liked episode when Starscream stole the relics from Optimus Prime, and then he got back to Megatron the relics, right? Been considering doing a custom TFP Springer. Yeah. TF fan page. Go ahead and do a Springer. I would like to do that, and we'll post the pictures up on our webpage. All right, guys. It's an hour 23. We went way over than what I wanted to. I'm gonna cut it right here. If you have any more questions, I'll try and answer them via text, or I'll address it on our next feed. Hopefully by then we'll have some more things to talk about. Keep in mind, keep on the watch. We've got a couple of things coming up. We got a new animation clip coming up at some point. We'll have another character bio, and I'm also going to do some action figure reviews. I picked up a couple of action figures. And I want to go ahead and review them with you guys and show you, maybe save you guys some money, or show you what it looks like in case you do want to get it, right? Maybe sometimes like, should I get that one? Should I not get that one? Right? So we'll get into that, and I'll introduce you guys to my kids. Since toys are mainly built or made for kids, they'll get to play with it, and they'll share their thoughts on the like, the playability, the character, etc., etc. So you'll get to meet them on that video. So until then, guys, thanks so much for joining in. Have a great weekend and take care, guys. All love to you guys.